Moses Hadas was an American teacher, a classical scholar, and a translator of numerous works. Life. Raised in Atlanta in a Yiddish-speaking Orthodox Jewish household, his early studies included rabbinical training. He graduated from Jewish Theological Seminary of America and took his doctorate in classics in 1930. He was fluent in Yiddish, German, Ancient Hebrew, Ancient Greek, Latin, French, and Italian, and well-versed in other languages. His most productive years were spent at Columbia University, where he was a colleague of Shak Barzun and Lionel Trilling. But he bucked the prevailing classical methods of the day, textual criticism and grammar, presenting classics, even in translation, as worthy of study as literary works in their own right. He embraced television as a tool for education, becoming a telelecturer and a pundit on broadcast television. He also recorded classical works on phonograph and tape. His daughter Rachel Hadas is a poet, teacher, essayist, and translator. Hadas is credited with 2 celebrated witticisms. This book fills a much-needed gap. Thank you for sending me a copy of your book. I'll waste no time reading it. Selected works. Sextus Pompey, 1930. Book of Delight by Joseph Ben Meir Zabra, translated by Moses Hadas, with an introduction by Miriam Sherwood, 1932. History of Greek Literature, 1950. History of Latin Literature, 1952. Greek Poets, 1953. Answer to Classical Reading, 1954. Oedipus, translated with an introit by Moses Hadas, 1955. History of Rome, from its origins to 529 AD, as told by the Roman historians, 1956. Theists, translated, with an introduction by Moses Hadas, 1957. Stoic Philosophy of Seneca, Essays and Letters of Seneca, 1958. Hellenistic Culture, Fusion and Diffusion, 1959. Humanism, the Greek Ideal and its Survival, 1960. Essential Works of Stoicism, 1961. Old Wine, New Bottles, A Humanist Teacher at Work, 1962. Gibbon's The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, Modern Abridgment, 1962. Hellenistic Literature, 1963. Style the Repository, 1965. Heroes and Gods, Spiritual Biographies in Antiquity, by Moses Hadas and Morton Smith, 1965. Introduction to Classical Drama, Foreword by Alvin C. Europe, 1966. Living Tradition, 1967. Solomon Maimon, an autobiography, edited and with a preface by Moses Hadas, 1975. Discography. During the 50s, Hadas recorded several albums of Latin and Greek works on Folkways Records. The Story of Virgil's Aeneid. Introduction and readings in Latin by Professor Moses Hadas. The Latin Language. Introduction and reading in Latin by Professor Moses Hadas of Columbia University. Plato on the Death of Socrates. Introduction with readings from the Apology and the Phaedo in Greek and Amp in English trans. Caesar. Readings in Latin and English by Professor Moses Hadas. Cicero. Commentary and readings in Latin and English by Moses Hadas. Longus, Daphnis and Chloe, read by Moses Hadas from his translation.